Welcome to video 3. We're going to be working again on pelvic stabilization with a challenge of unilateral leg movements in this video, some bilateral as well. So you can turn face forward. We're going to start again with a half roll down, or actually a full roll down all the way into the mat with the arms out front, just to orient yourself that your gaze you want to be about in between your hands, wherever your hands are, and then as you come down they can come up toward the ceiling. So we're going to take the arms down to the sides and start with just bringing one knee into the chest. This is similar to the knee folds that we did earlier in video 1. And you'll just have one knee into your chest and you actually can pull it in a little bit deeper. From here, we'll lift the head, look toward the belly, and straighten the other leg out across the mat. So we're going to stay parallel for this first variation, but we're going to actually bring the hands behind the head to support it a little bit more. You could leave your head down on the mat if you need to, but we'll just switch legs, extending one leg at a time and keeping the head where it is, also keeping the elbows where they are. You have to work really hard to stabilize the pelvis using your abdominal muscles. So from here, we're going to take a break for just a moment, bring the knees back to tabletop. You can bring your head down and then open the knees. So you're externally rotating from the top of the thigh, turning out. That will also mean that because we want the knees to be tracking in line with the toes, that your toes are going to open if your knees are slightly open. So we'll do the same thing, lifting the head, hands behind the head, and just straighten one leg at a time. So you can bring the knee that's closest to you in as close to your chest as you want as you do this, but you're going to try and curl up with your shoulder blades off of the mat most of the way and just move the legs slowly. If you feel like that's too low for you, take your legs higher toward the ceiling and you can still do the same movement. And again, you can also do this entire thing with the head down. So from here, we'll let one leg and then the other come back to the mat. We're going to now circle the arms around, take both knees into the chest, and then lift the head again. So this is called the double leg stretch. That last one was the single leg stretch. This time we're going to reach just the arms back over the head and then circle them around and hug the knees back into the chest. So we'll do that again, just the arms. And try to not move. We'll actually do one more. So try and lift yourself up using your hands on your shins. Lift yourself up nice and high so your shoulder blades are off the mat. Now when your arms come back, your shoulder blades shouldn't drop. You don't want to come down to the mat. You want to stay lifted. And then from there, we're going to do just the legs. So the hands can come behind the head and you'll extend both legs out front and bring them back in. You can also go up to the ceiling if that feels better to you. If it feels like your back is engaging on this, definitely don't extend the legs all the way and go a little higher rather than lower with the legs. So now we're going to combine the two. So the hands will start at the shins. We're going to take the arms back and the legs forward. Inhale to reach out. Exhale to scoop and hug the knees back into the chest. 2 more times. Inhale, reach out long. Exhale, hug and bring the knees in. And last one, stay up nice and high and stretch long and then hug your knees all the way back in. So you can lie back on the mat. We're going to do some hamstring stretching here, and I'm actually going to guide Katie through this. So you can bring your right knee into your chest and then straighten your left leg along the mat and bring your hands a little lower on your shin. So you can flex the foot so that the heel is pushing forward and then straighten that leg up toward the ceiling. Yeah, letting your hands slide down your leg as far as they need to, but keep them on your leg. So, and then bend your knee and again, flex your foot and straighten the leg from there. So essentially you're trying to keep your thigh where it was when you started and just extend the leg from there. Flex one more time, straighten the leg. Good. Now walk your hands up and take another hamstring stretch, just pulling that leg towards you. You can lift your head if you want. And while she's taking this stretch, you'll notice that Katie's doing something really nicely, which is she's trying to lower this hip so that the hips stay in line with each other. It would be probably really easy for her hip to go higher and for her alignment to become skewed in her hips. So she's not going to go to the point of stretching that far. Instead, she's going to try and keep her hips square to each other. So from there, you can switch legs, Katie, just bringing your left knee into your chest. Same thing. Bring your hands behind your thigh, actually, when on this side. So when you straighten the leg, see if you can keep the thigh from moving. It's still going to move a little bit, but just see how stationary you can keep it. And then on the next one, straighten that leg, point and flex. Let the ankle circle a couple times. we'll go back to the other side since we didn't do this yet on that side. And then walk your hands up and do an extra little stretch for the hamstring. So again, she's dropping this hip in order to keep the pelvis square. And then you can go back and do your circles on the other side since I forgot to have you do that. So just a little point and a flex, because we're trying to articulate all of our joints really in Pilates and work the flexibility and range of all of the joints possible, including those in the feet, which are very important. So from here, you can straighten the right leg along the mat. Let's take the left leg back up toward the ceiling. So the leg's nice and stretched out now. She's gonna hold the arms down at the sides, soften both knees. So this is gonna be the level 1 for the single leg circle, even a little bit more bent with this one. You don't wanna go too much more than that because then you'll start hitting your leg, but let's externally rotate the left leg and then bring it back to parallel. So when she externally rotates, hopefully the thigh relaxes a little bit. If you don't find that that's happening enough for you and you're really gripping up in the thigh, bend the knee even more. So you can have it even at this tabletop position. She's gonna circle the leg across toward her right knee, around and up, focusing more on the across toward the right knee than on the out. So it's not exactly a circle. And trying to do this with the pelvis staying stable. So go ahead and go back to the top and then reverse directions. Yeah, it's helpful if you want to place the hands on the pelvis because that will help you know how stable your pelvis is. It's probably not going to be 100% stationary for anyone, but the idea is to keep the pelvis still by engaging those deeper abdominal muscles. And try not to straighten the leg as you go around, Katie. Try and keep it, if it's bent, just keep it bent as you do the circle. And if it's straight, you can keep it straight. So go ahead and let this leg come down to the mat. We'll demonstrate on the other side what this would look like with a slightly straighter leg. So the bottom knee wouldn't be as bent either. The top leg will turn out and then go back to parallel a couple times because that helps get those hip flexors to relax. And again, turn out and back to parallel. And then in that turned out position, you can sweep across toward the knee, down, around and up. So this can be as big as all the way down to the mat, although you definitely don't have to go that low with the circle. Or it can be as small as, go really small in the other direction, Katie, just like a tiny little pencil circle is what I call it, like imagining that you're circling around a pencil. Because really the smaller the movement, the more minute the control has to be, not necessarily to keep the pelvis still, but to get that small movement happening. So from there, you can just have both knees into your chest, and then we'll do a roll up together and show what this will look like going all the way over the head. So before in the previous 2 videos, we talked about the progression from the half roll back like this to the full roll up, which we'll do together, Katie, bringing the arms back over your head and then over your chest, rolling forward, peeling off the mat bone by bone until you're in a forward curl. So if you have trouble getting up like that, one idea is to put something behind your lower back, like a folded towel. And also you can soften your knees when you're going down. I'm going to do a full roll over on this one, and you can do what you want to do. If you want to do a roll up like that, or if you want to go all the way over, that's fine. So we'll just slowly roll down into the mat, and then when you're about halfway down, you can start bringing the legs up toward the ceiling, bending them or keeping them straight is fine. Bring the leg over the head, pressing the arms down into the mat, and then open your feet when they're over your head, flex them, and slowly roll back to the mat. And then when your legs are vertical again, you can bring them together. It is an option to progress this even further by taking the legs lower and then bringing them over. Just make sure that your lower back doesn't leave the mat. So again, go over the head, open, and then slowly roll down, flexing the feet to get more stretch through the back of the leg, and draw the legs together. Let's do 2 more. Over, flex, and roll down. And last one. Going all the way down. And then just take the knees into the chest. And we're going to do the next portion of the video with using some props. So you can grab a ball or a lifted surface, like even just folded pillows, to put underneath your pelvis. So I'm going to have Katie use a ball, and I'm going to use a foam roller. This is sort of equivalent to some folded pillows. It's slightly more firm. You can use a half foam roller as well. And we're just gonna have this underneath the sacrum so that the hips are a little bit higher than the rib cage and the shoulders. And then we'll do our knee folds here. So you'll see that when you have a lift under your pelvis, it becomes a lot easier to lift one leg. So we'll just go right into the double leg version here. We're gonna inhale, take the legs down, exhale, lift them up. And then on the next one, we're gonna do the same exercise we started with, which was that single leg stretch. So we'll take except we're not gonna bring the hands behind the head, because when you have something under your hips, you don't wanna lift your head up because you'll strain your neck. So we're gonna take one knee into the chest, the outside hand will come to the ankle, the inside hand will come to the knee, and then switch legs. So you can do many different variations of leg work with something supporting your back, underneath your back. We're just going to go through a few of them, but you can even invent your own movements. One of the basic ones in Pilates is called frog. So if you just bring your hands down to your sides and your heels together, toes apart, this is the traditional frog position, and you can just press out and come back in. So the lower you go, just like in the leg work we were doing earlier, the more challenge you're going to get for your abdominal muscles. So make sure you don't go too low, so low that you're feeling your back. You want to keep this in a range where it feels like what's working is the deep abdominal muscles. And then from there, we'll keep the legs straight on the next one. We're gonna go back to parallel and let one leg go toward you, one leg reach away for scissors. And sometimes people add a little pulse here, so a little double pulse and switch. And then you can take scissors into bicycle movement because it feels really nice for the hips to be able to stretch. You just bend the front knee and trace that leg in toward you. So reach the legs as far apart as they'll go. And try and keep them along the center line of your body. Just like in the earlier video, number 2, we were talking about hugging the center line. That keeps those muscles that are toward the center of the body, some of which are the core muscles, engaged, if you literally just think of hugging the center line of your body. So let's go the other way, Katie. Bicycling out. And then we can go back to our frog position here. You can also just let your leg hang there for a second. If that stretch feels really good to you, just bring one knee into your chest and you can hold on to it. Katie's not as high from off of the mat as I am. And it depends on the flexibility of your hip flexors, but for a lot of people this stretch feels really good, and you might even want to do it on a bed or something where your leg can hang lower than the floor so that you get enough stretch. So we'll go back to our frog position here with the heels together, toes apart, and then straighten the legs and stay there and just open and close the heels. So you can do tiny little beats like I'm doing, or you can do bigger ones like Katie's doing, and then we'll crisscross for 10 little beats. And then go back to the beats, single beats. And then bring your knees back in. And another of my favorites is called helicopter. And I don't know if you've done this one, Katie, in a while, but we're going to take the legs back up toward the ceiling. We're going to go into a scissor, one leg toward you, one leg away, and then circle those legs out to the sides and come back together. And then go the other way, or back where you came, basically. And back together at the top, and then reverse. Sorry. And back together. Good. And then from there you can invent all kinds of other movements, but I'm just gonna come off of the roller and let my legs lie over it, because this is a really nice back release. Katie, you can put the ball under your knees if you want. And sometimes just rolling with the ball under the hips feels good as well. But just letting the pelvis do a little tuck and a little arch after all that stabilization work feels really nice. And letting the back fully come back to the mat into its normal position. Thank you.